Hey guys, what's up? It's your VFit Coach. I am back with another great fitness video for you guys. If you haven't watched my previous video entitled Where Are You in Fitness, please watch that video prior to this one because the sequence is important. I also would like to make a correction from the last video. I said I was approaching 40,000 hours of personal training. Actually, the correction is 50,000. So it's not like I'm trying to brag. It's that many hours of experience is usually unheard of. You could Google it and see how many people actually have 50,000 hours of personal training experience. Okay, are we ready to jump in? Let's get started. So this video will cover two topics. Only two topics because these two topics are quite important. We're going to discuss your weekly volume requirements. How many days should you be working out? How many hours should you put into your workout routine per week? And number two, do you have time for it? So a lot of people, or the biggest excuse that I hear is, I don't have time, I'm too busy, I don't have time to work out. We'll break it down and see if that is actually true. So let's go ahead and jump into weekly workout requirements. Before we can determine how many hours you should put in per week, you have to come up with a goal and a commitment. It doesn't have to be an annual goal. It could be like maybe a 6-week goal. Are you going to be committed to put in the work to make things happen, to make results happen? And there's many goals. I'm just going to throw on the most common goal, which is most people want to lose fat and they want to get stronger. Other people say, okay, I want to play sports. I want to get better in sports. I want to be some kind of super athletic person. So those are different goals, but the most common goal is you want to lose fat, you want to get strong, you want to look great for the summer. Okay, so the magic number, the most hours I would suggest for that type of goal is 4 hours per week. So let me explain why this works. 2 hours of strength training is just about enough to increase your metabolism because you're building muscle, you're increasing your daily requirements of calories. So to build muscle, you need at least 2 hours with a good routine. Now, if your routine is not good enough, you won't build muscle significantly to make a change in your metabolism. Now, the additional 2 hours of cardio, this helps improve your endurance, your cardiovascular, and also helps expend calories. However, in later videos, we're going to discuss why the 2 hours of strength training is probably going to be a better caloric burn in the long run than your 2 hours of cardio. Okay, so let's answer the next question, which is why not 3 hours? Pretty much sums it up. It's not usually enough. And the reason why it's not enough is you need to leave room for error. So if someone makes a mistake in their diet or doesn't have a great workout, those 3 hours per week, you may not get the effectiveness as of 4 hours. The other thing you want to address is the intensity per hour. So if someone says, I only have 3 hours per week and I want to maybe lose 2 pounds per week, a 150-pound person, yes, there's a possibility you could do that. But that would be very stringent. That would be no room for error in the program, meaning you would have to put 3 hours, good intensity for those 2 hours of workout, high intensity, keeping your heart rate in your 85% when you do your cardio. And you could probably see 1 or 2 calories, 1 or 2 pounds per week lost for a 150-pound person. Of course, you'd have to follow a nutrition plan as well. So why not 5 hours? If you want to be a bodybuilder, 5 hours is probably more ideal. But like I said, you'd be on a special schedule. You would have to split muscle groups, either a 2-day split or a 3-day split, meaning 1/3 of your body gets trained on Monday. The other third gets trained on Tuesday. Wednesday, you take a day off. Thursday, you work the rest of those remaining muscles. So that's a 3-day split. And you still have to take days off because remember, when you rest, that's when you grow. That's when your muscles grow and repair itself. Without these proper amounts of rest, you hinder the growth and you slow down your ability to metabolize and also increase your metabolism. So many scenarios work. Even if you wanted to train every day, you still get good results. It's all about how your intensity is per day. So this is the big however when I speak to a lot of my clients. If you train with me and I train you hard, I train what's called RPE 9. RPE, if you don't know what that is, that's your rate of perceived exertion. That is a scale of 1 to 10 on how intense your workout will be. Now 9 is high. That means I will be pushing each exercise at an intensity that you will probably not repair or recover within 2 or 3 days of that muscle group. So when you train at a high RPE, most people cannot train every day, cannot train even 2 or 3 times a week in strength training. If you train with a lower RPE, you're creating, let's say your rate of perceived exertion is only 7, or you don't want to push too hard. You can still get good results, but that takes longer. It also creates adaptation, which slows down the overall progress. And you'll see that probably after a couple of weeks. You'll see your progress is slowing down because you've adapted to a certain level of perceived exertion. So this is why RPE is important. You have to learn how to toggle your intensity up and down, also properly rest. It could be a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Friday you do 2 hours maybe, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. It could be any type of combination, as long as you keep the intensity up in the strength training and you do the cardio and you keep your heart rate in your zone. Okay, so we'll move on to the next topic, which is I don't have time. So I'm gonna throw in this graph here or this chart. How many hours are in a week? 168 hours are in a week. So when I see my clients, I only see them twice a week, 2 hours each time. 1 hour each time. So 2 hours total per week, most of them. Some clients I'll see 3 times a week. So that leaves 165 to 166 hours left in your day. So let's look at the chart. Let's do some estimations. Let's say you work 50 hours per week. Yes, some of you work 40 hours, but I know some of you work 50 hours. So if you have overtime, you want to add your lunch in there. We'll also add 7 hours for your commute. That's 40 minutes each way, 5 days a week. So hopefully a lot of you people don't drive more than 40 minutes. Some of you work at home, so you don't really have 7 hours of commuting time for your work. Next up, we have 50 hours of sleep. For some of you, 7 hours of sleep is kind of the national average. Yeah, some of you do 6.5 like me. Some of you do 8, some of you do 9. Lucky you. But the average national is 7, so that's 7 times 7, 49. 16 hours for prep and hygiene. Of course, you have to take a shower. You have to put your clothes on and put your makeup on and whatnot. I put 2.3 hours per day to do time for your prep and work and prep for bed. That should be enough, 16 hours for the week, 2.5 hours per day. Hour in the morning, hour and a half at night, or vice versa. Okay, 20 hours of eating. This is an hour and 15-minute lunch break for your breakfast and evening. That's plenty of time. This is 60 meals, excluding your work lunch, which is maybe 5 days a week. And then last but not least, 10 hours a week for kid stuff, running errands, doing groceries. So add that all up and you have 153 hours, short from 168. At least 15 hours remaining. Can you give me 4 hours out of those 15 hours? So you guys can do the math yourself, but there is time. Most people, I'd say 95% people are not totally workaholics, except for Elon Musk. But there's time for you to work out. Just make a commitment to get to the gym. Okay, so in our next video, I will be discussing how many exercises you actually need to learn to get in shape according to your goals. Number 2, the Goldilocks zone. the Goldilocks zone of fitness. What is it? Where is it? How far are you away from it? And then third, I'm going to discuss my entire program, new program, with an acronym called Brave Man. If you are my clients, you know what that stands for, BRAVEMAN. And you guys will lock it in and remember all that stuff, hopefully. All right, until next time, Be Fit Coach. Peace out.